First of all, what you're doing is so extremely important, and I'm so excited to be able to try to help you replicate this in any way possible after we get your successes, and to show other states that they're capable of doing the same thing that you're doing. It's not an easy job, like everyone before me today has just said. It's not going to be easy. It's been tried in many states before, but never to the consistency and the development of teamwork like I see happening with the community of practice. So as an example, I just want to give a couple of examples from my own life. I know when my daughter was in early intervention, let's go through the life course stages. So when she was in early intervention, this wonderful aha moment happened for me, and it really took a while. It took a little while to get that aha to how she truly could be fully included in the community. And of course, I always give Nancy kudos, and I always embarrass her, so I'm going to just probably try not to do that. But Nancy was in charge of Pennsylvania at the time, so she really did have a lot of say in the leadership. But in the county that I was living in, they said, well, wouldn't you prefer to have Alexa be in the same camp that your other children are in? I said, well, yes, of course I would. Well, then let's do that. Let's make that happen. You go and choose the camp, and we'll put the supports in place. I thought, this is amazing. And it was like such an aha for me that I never went backwards. But what happened is, although that part was promised to me, and the reason I'm saying this is I'm really, really hoping that some of these same mistakes can be avoided within the community of practice. They had high hopes. The early intervention providers had very high hopes that this is what they wanted to do with their system. All of a sudden they realized that the realities is that they didn't have the supports in place for the times that the camp was happening and where the camp was happening. They said, well, if you can get the supports, that would work, but we don't have anybody to actually go with her to be an attendant. And I thought, oh my gosh. So I was just promised something that I was so excited about. My other children were really excited about that they were going to go to this awesome camp with their sister, who used a power wheelchair and a lot of assistive technology, needed assistance with doing activities. And now what were we going to do? So we did problem solve it on our own. But I don't want you to overpromise without at least being very, very honest with the families that this is something you're working on within systems change. You're trying really hard to make this systems change, but it might not be there yet. And let us work on it with you. Like was said earlier, there are so many creative things that we come up with as families, don't we? We just come up with these ideas, which is also the power of parent to parent. That's what we do. When we match families with each other, we often match with families who have figured things out in a creative manner. We don't really want to have all these supports and services all the time. And I do believe that many times professionals really do believe that if they get parents together, that they're going to compare notes and say, oh, that agency is so nasty. This is what you have to do to get services, and you can get way more hours than you have now. Do this, this, and this. We don't really want all these services traipsing through our house and disrupting our lives and having to go here and there. We really don't. We want a life like everyone else. We want a calm life. We want one where our whole family interacts and is happy and healthy and vital, and we have a really good relationship. And that's why we need you. That's why we need services, and for that purpose, not so we can get 40 hours a week of something. That's not the purpose. So when you think you're offering something to families, please make sure that you can actually deliver. And if you can't deliver, be honest. Because if you're not honest, you break down trust. Try not to break down trust. Try to keep that trust there. And being honest, even if it's something that you can't deliver, helps that trust to be there and will help you. We'll all of a sudden work together because that relationship has been built. The families are so diverse. We're so diverse. You cannot judge us by what you have written in your policies and procedures, because only a small percentage is really going to fit. So you have to be so extremely creative and flexible and have that capability of doing problem solving within your states so that you can actually figure out how are you going to meet the individualized needs of that family, of those siblings, of those self-advocates, of our children at all ages, whether they be in early intervention, birth, all the way through adulthood. How can you be very, very individualized? Some of us have really strong supports within our families. We have strong family networks. We have strong spouses that really assist us. Maybe we might have strong siblings that are really gathering around and helping to provide our supports. And many do not. So we can't make an assumption that we're all the same and that, oh, well, you have natural supports that can come to your help. Maybe not. Maybe we do. And when we don't get the supports that we need, when we need the supports in a timely manner, we were talking about this last night, about the timeliness of supports. When we need those supports, we need those supports. So try to keep that in mind as you're putting together that community of practice, because when that tipping point comes, when that stress becomes too great, it breaks a family down and it's very hard to get that momentum back again. So I just wanted to say to please keep that in mind. And Richard, I've asked to please, when he and Kathy stand up to present together, Richard said a very profound thing yesterday that I have written down, and I'm going to share about assistive technology, about how it can be used to really lessen the supports that we need, the actual one-on-one provider supports. It really does, and it helps with isolation, so I'm hoping that he can reiterate it in a much better way like he did yesterday, because it truly was profound. As you know, we're working very closely with Sibling Leadership Network and SABE, and we're trying to do this triad perspective, which we're doing the one-to-one peer-to-peer support, and the siblings are trying to do the same, create a one-to-one peer-to-peer support, as is SABE. If we can get that to happen and we can slide these supports back and forth and have mentors for our families at any stage of the game, a one-to-one support person to assist them going along their path with whatever that might be. My daughter was lucky enough to have a mentor from third grade for 3 years, an adult who also used a power wheelchair and had similar supports. The most amazing lessons were learned, not just by her as to how to be a self-advocate, but how we learned to be better parents and how to let go and how to envision that real life that could happen at the end that we couldn't quite see it because our daughter was still so young. So these are some things that we're doing. We're also having Jane is going to be doing a keynote at our Biennial Leadership Institute for Parent-to-Parent in October. She's also going to be doing a breakout. So we're going to get this out far and wide. All of the materials from Community of Practice as well as the information about webinars are getting out there to all of the statewide leaders. And in hopes that it will trickle down and be disseminated among all of the grassroots families. So hopefully this will, what you're doing now and setting the stage, will be replicated in many states over the next couple of years. Thank you so much for all that you're doing. If there's anything that we can do within Parent-to-Parent to help you out or any of our networks, please don't hesitate to contact us. Thanks.